You get a chance week one in this setting against a team with that ranking, and feels like it's that the program is could be on the verge of doing what it's known for. These situations, beating teams, underdog, all that stuff. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, the guys are excited, about this season. They're excited about the opportunities we have. We do have a tough schedule. Obviously, it's one game, 1 week, 1 day at a time mentality. But having the opportunity to go on the road in the opening week and play the number 10 team in the nation, you don't always get that. And so it calls for a great deal of preparation, obviously, and focus and discipline. And really, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to: is to play our best on Saturday. How focused will we keep it? We keep it about the main things this week, and this is where these are the things that are important: the maturity of our team, the guys that have been here in the past, and understanding what does it look like when we have been successful and opportunities look like this, and what will it take. And so those are the things that we've been working to build into our team at an earlier stage this year, all throughout the course of camp, and now obviously, like we said, adjusting in the game week. And what does this really look like?
You mentioned rhythm a lot last week when you were talking about Washington's offense. Can you kind of elaborate on that and what made them so prolific last season?
Yeah, so they're obviously very efficient. They're the number one pass offense in the nation last year, and pretty high in total defense as well, or total offense as well. And really, it starts with the whole operation. There's a lot of offense to defend, and especially from a formation standpoint. The amount of formations, the amount of shifts and movers you get in the pre-snap, and then obviously the personnel. They use their personnel well. The quarterback is extremely efficient, in the pass game in terms of getting the ball out and staying on schedule within the pass game. And they've got an experienced O-line, and also not all the starters from last year are back. They got plenty of guys that have played a lot of football for them and have been really good players.
When your defense goes up against an offense like that, does that give them a little more excitement? Does that kind of put, I know they're going to be prepared no matter what, but does that give them an extra kind of pep in their step almost?
Yeah, and that's the trap you get into, and if it's not the same process week in and week out, that can lead to a trap, as we go throughout the course of the year. So the excitement and every opportunity we get, we work year round. We work 8 months to get to this point, to have the opportunity to play our game. So the excitement to take advantage and work to be our best throughout the course of the week, and each one of these opportunities this season is going to be vital. The consistency that we have within that will allow us to accomplish our goal.
Everybody talks about their offense, but what do you see from their defense? Obviously, especially on the edge, they got some pretty talented guys.
Defensive front that is shown to play very physical. A defensive front that is capable of aligning in multiple fronts, being able to again, much like their offense, they present a bunch of different things in the pre-snap. The defense is going to do that too, in terms of front structures, pressures, simulated pressures, and then obviously they got some length and speed in the secondary that they're going to be able to cover the field with.
Yeah, there's one true evaluator in this game, and that is game day. How eager are you to see what this all adds up and what this looks like, and to go against somebody that's not yourselves?
Yeah, there's no question. I mean, it's the first week of the season, and you've gone against each other for the course of, again, in the previous 8 months of preparation. And so now, what does it look like, to be able to go up against someone else that only so happens to be this number 10 team in the nation on the road in their house? So we're excited to see how our guys handle the environment. There's certain things obviously you can do to create noise and all those things, but at the end of the day, it's time to step into an environment like that and let our guys feel what it feels like, and see them respond and see them compete. They've worked tremendously hard. They've been focused. They understand the difficulties that are going to come with that, and the things, of course, throughout the course of this week, especially from an offensive standpoint, in dealing with the level of noise while we're on offense, is going to be a critical component within the game to keep ourselves in rhythm.
You have 3 cornerbacks with somewhat inconsistent track records about availability. They have 2 All-American wide receivers. How do you see that battle?
Yeah, I mean, they got one of the best wide receiver corps in the nation. So, it's not just the quarterback. It's the whole passing game altogether. It's going to be a huge part of the game. Again, they're the number one pass offense in the nation for a reason. Mind you, they've only, they gave up, some of the fewest amount of sacks last year, and and while they do pass the ball a fair amount. So, that tells you that they do a good job taking care of the quarterback. The quarterback does get the ball out on time, and he's got plenty of guys to spread the ball around.
You mentioned the noise for the offense. I mean, in terms of the depth chart here, you got 2 freshmen starting on the line on Saturday. Just what did you see from the line during camp? And I guess your 2 young guys that you felt confident putting them in this spot going into Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, it's a part of college football. I mean, we're going to play on the road, and we have all the games. Everyone matters equally the same. I mean, over the course of the year, if you're going to accomplish your goal, obviously going on the road presents different challenges. The guys, from the standpoint of having the home field advantage or not, and so, we've been working these mechanisms throughout the course of fall camp. And obviously to create the environment, it's not going to be exactly the same, but we feel pretty confident in these guys. They're going to be in the fight the whole game. I mean, it's a defensive front that was very productive last year. They created a lot of havoc on the offenses they played. And again, when you walk in and play the number 10 team in the nation, it's to be expected.
What did Cage and Roger do to earn spots during camp?
They performed consistently, pretty well in terms of their overall growth, especially from last year. It's awesome to see that some of the young talent that we've been able to recruit and develop is going to get their opportunity to play. I mean, again, like we talked about, it's not only their opportunity to play, but it's a huge challenge to be this number 10 team in the nation right out the gates.
How much do you think the 2 guys, Casey and Carry on, played a game or 2 last year? How much does that going to help their defense?
Way more than not have played any, right? And so that's the piece of it. It's some of the packages that Cage was in last year over the course of the season. His athleticism. Being able to bank reps and handle, part of the experience is banking reps and being able to identify certain things in a very short, quick amount of time and handle the communication within the front, be able to react, and then obviously that competitive nature that goes in. Cage's, Cage's worked diligently against the defensive front that we have, not only this year but last year, and so is a first-year starter. Obviously, it's not the easiest task in the world, but we're super excited about what he brings to the table and the future he'll have.
Washington running back Dylan Johnson said earlier this month, quote, "I feel like we have the best offense in the country." From what you've seen and scouted so far, could he be right?
The numbers from last year show that. So, I mean, as we just stated, they're one of the most efficient offenses in the nation, and it's collective. I mean, again, they got a good offensive line, a big offensive line that is mobile, and they got one of the best returning quarterbacks in the nation with the wide receiver core that we just spoke of.
Garrett was pretty versatile last year, playing a couple different spots, but didn't play center. I mean, what'd you see from him over the fall that allowed him to earn that spot?
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play center in a game last year, but he practiced multiple times playing center. So it's like one of those things that we're talking about. It's not always what we see on game day, but over the course of the preparation throughout the course of the year. And, Garrett has the most experience out of everybody and is one of the best leaders and has helped build the mentality of this offensive line. So a guy that we feel confident in and really done a nice job sliding into that center role.
Maybe just going back and listening to an interview with Rodney the last time we spoke with him, and he brought up Ty's name, and Ty shows up on the depth chart today. What has he done as a kid that hasn't been here that long to earn his way onto that depth chart?
Yeah, I mean, it's just his competitive nature, how smart he is, his diligence, his maturity. I mean, a lot of times when it comes down to for a freshman, a true freshman, being able to play is their maturity and their ability to handle the process of being in college and what this looks like. Obviously, they have to have a skill set that is developed enough to be able to compete at an elite level, and it's awesome to see. Again, we have guys that we've recruited in the last couple of years that are going to be more than a few, not just the couple that may be on the depth chart, and the few that will travel with us on this first game. But Ty's done an unbelievable job making plays, whether it be on defense or it be on special teams, and it's fun to see him. I mean, he has a burst and he has a twitch and has a great feel and sense for the ball.
We've heard a lot about Andrew Simpson, all positive things this camp. Now we see him number 1 on the depth chart. How has he lived up to those praises during the fall?
Yeah, I mean, he's a very instinctual player. He obviously got a lot of experience down the stretch last season. He played a lot of football in the last half of the season that, as we spoke on with a few of these guys that, maybe they didn't go into the season as starters last year, but through the course of the year, the experience that they were able to get and what they were able to help us do last year then feeds into this offseason. And Drew's been a very productive player both in the run game and the pass game.
The D-line, we talked a lot about after the scrimmage, and you said they've been coming along. How did you like how the pressure they were getting on the quarterback, and how important in this game will it be for you guys to get some pressure on in the back?
Yeah, I mean, that's always part of disrupting the timing within the pass game is being able to get pressure on the quarterback. Again, this offense has proven last year that they're one of the best in the country at protecting the quarterback. So it will be challenging, obviously, to create that pressure, but I'm very excited about what the defensive front has done throughout the course of fall camp. The development, not only from understanding big picture schematics, but the development of individuals in terms of guys that have been able to rush the passer, aside from the guys that have played, from Dimitri and Ahmed, but getting Tyler, Jaden Virgin, Cortez, and a host of guys getting. Cheese will have a involvement in, being in some of the sub-package stuff. So being able to develop those guys across the front, and Braxton, when we talk about the interior guys, and Herb being able to do some things in the pass rush as well. So it is going to be a constant in college football, the growth from where you start in your offense and defensive fronts. I mean, that is something that is critical for the success of a team. And naturally, too, I mean, the majority of your reps where you get to do that is in practice. So having the quality of the scout teams and being able to go good on good is a huge piece of continuing to develop each side of the ball in the fronts.
In college football, portal, roster fluidity down, I don't know what the exact number was. I think I had 42 new players in the program. What is the key to getting those guys up to speed in such a short amount of time? Some have been here longer, I know, but that's a lot of turnover. I don't know if you've ever had that many.
No, that's what college football is now. And so getting everybody on the same page, being clear and concise, eliminating the grave, exactly what does this look like, what does this process look like. There's a lot of guys that hadn't been through a game week prep, but there's things that we do throughout the course of the year, whether it be from the mental side or the physical side, where guys are getting experience of what this looks like and what the expectation is to be able to prepare to be our best at the end of the week. But it is different. That is a huge piece of what is college football now, is to collectively be on the same page with the process needed to be successful.
We kind of got an idea of what Taylor's like physically on a football field. Mentally, this is going to be his biggest challenge. How do you deal with a young guy in such a huge opportunity, and how is he going to be able to process this mentally?
Yeah, there's no doubt. So that's always one of the biggest deals, and it doesn't matter. Mike, it doesn't matter if this is a senior going into this environment. Going on the road to play in an environment like this, the first week of the year is always challenging. We understand, as a staff, as a team, what that looks like. So does he. And he has been very diligent within his process and how we prepare, and understanding how important the details are and the consistency of practice, given the elements will be different when we get there. We can simulate some stuff here, but the elements will be different when we get into that stadium and that ball's kicked off. So being able to be extremely efficient at practice so that we can overcome the new variables once we get in there. Very confident, in his approach and how he's been able to have that next play mentality. It's going to be critical that we stay on time in the pass game, that we're able to move on to the next play. If the look isn't right, and be able to keep ourselves on pace and get in rhythm.
What's the best play you've seen Prince make the last month?
The best play I've seen Prince make in the last month. I would say that he's obviously had a fair amount of catches, being that we've come out of fall camp. A lot of the wide receivers have, but he's, as a young wide receiver with his length and size, he's pretty exceptional. In the down the field routes, I can't sit here and after 15 practices call out one best play that he's made, but pretty excited about what he adds to to the passing game as a young guy.
The first game, I know tackling sometimes for both teams is an issue. You don't get to do much of that in fall camp. But do you have any sense of that, or do you just kind of go into the game and I mean, you practice your techniques and everything, you just see what it looks like, or how much have you gotten to do, and how do you feel about that, I guess?
Yeah, that's always a priority. I mean, ball security and tackling are always priorities on top of going into an environment when you're going to play on the road, right? The line of scrimmage, it's always how will we adjust to being on the road? As we spoke about, there's a lot of new guys in the program and going into this type of environment. How will you play at the line of scrimmage and handle yourself and win that battle at the line of scrimmage? Obviously, who creates and who eliminates explosive plays, tackling and taking care of the ball is usually a big part of that. And so those are always the critical elements. And we've, we work to be extremely diligent with that. Whether it be in controlled settings and working tackling in various ways, whether it's in using equipment or tackling on bodies to, obviously the limited amount of tackling within scrimmage settings and things like that.
Since 1999, Boise State is 3-5 in season openers against ranked opponents. Regardless of the outcome this Saturday, how does playing in a high caliber game like this and an opener benefit the team long term?
Yeah, it's a huge challenge. I mean, we're going to get to learn, a lot from this preparation, going into this environment, taking on this challenge. Obviously, playing one of the premier teams for this season in the opening game is going to provide us with an experience and an opportunity to grow forward. And it being this early on in the season, this team has been unbelievable all throughout the course of the year about the hunger to learn and grow and to do the things necessary. And so there will be, obviously, being the first game, we're going to come out of this game and there's going to be plenty of things that we need to grow at going into this game. Obviously, the goal is to build and earn a certain level of confidence through our preparation that is going to withstand when we walk into that stadium and obviously take on this challenge.
Quarterbacks usually have their own kind of moxie or attitude. What is it about Jalen Clark's makeup that makes him good for that position?
Yeah, I mean they call it being on an island for a reason. A lot of times you're going to play this position, be in some situations where there's not a lot of bodies around you and helping coverage. We try to eliminate as much of that as possible, but there's naturally going to be those situations when you play cornerback. You got to be an elite competitor inside. You've got to have the confidence and the discipline to be able to win one-on-one battles constantly throughout the course of a game, and have the next play mentality when things don't go well. There's going to be more opportunities, and for him as a young DB, we're excited to see him continue to grow. He's very talented. He does have a lot of ability. Obviously, as we've spoken on, he's one of those guys that got playing time at the end of last year, and that experience will help him grow forward this season quickly.
At the other corner position, you have an or mentioned or listed as either Nohi or Markel. Just how much have they pushed each other, and how competitive has that competition been?
Yeah, I mean those guys are both veterans within the program. They know the game very well. It's great to have those guys, and you got two guys that know what they're doing, reliable, and he's played a lot of football at this point too. He has been productive when he has been in the game. It's obviously great to see Markel moving around and doing things that he's doing. So we feel good about that situation, given that we're going up against one of the better wide receiver corps in the nation this week.
The two receivers, Dunze and McMillan, what makes them each unique? What are each of their skill sets? What do we want to look for?
Well, I would say that they line up in various positions, all over the field. It's not a typical, where one guy's going to be at formationally, and so, that in itself tells you that they're good at running the route tree. Whether it be the intermediate or the quick routes, their ability to transition and get out of breaks is really good. And they got both of them, got all three of them. I mean, the wide receiver corps in general has length that goes along with the speed and size. So that right there obviously has led to them being one of the better passing teams in the nation.
Anything else? with DJ being voted team captain in the preseason and obviously has been a leader on this team for a while, but how much did that work out in practice through fall camp, especially on a defense that looks a lot different this year?
Yeah, it's great to have guys like that, whether it be DJ, Dimitri, Markel, even though, Markel, it's great to have him back out there, just to have the guys like that. Herb Combs has played a lot of football for us now. I think these years have stacked up and these games have stacked up, and you see some guys out there that, played a fair amount of football. Ahmed's played a fair amount of football out there. Tubes has played a lot of football. And then we do have guys like Drew who played a fair amount at the end of last season, but to have a guy, a middle linebacker in the middle of the field that has that game experience of what it feels like to be able to lead, operate, handle the pre-snap, get locked in, execute your assignments, and build that rhythm within the defense, that's always a huge component, when in the pre-snap and being successful.
We talked a little bit about EMAC.
Yeah.
His growth is noticeable. What type of season is he capable of having?
Yeah, we're really excited for Eric. I mean, Eric is a guy that came on in the middle of the year last year and really, the switch went on from in terms of what we always talk about, this process of the preparation, what it takes to be successful. And we saw his production grow from the middle of the year to the end of the year. And he's honestly, we've been talking about it's all gas, no brakes, in terms of the want to continue to find ways to build a process. And it's not just in football and here, but for a lot of these guys too, it's making sure that we're squared away outside of here with our school and our personal life so that we can be better in here. We can be better in school. And so we're proud of, EMAC in terms of the way he's, learned to organize himself in and around the facility and obviously outside, and it's led to him being productive, and we look forward to seeing that continued growth as we go throughout this year, and looking forward to seeing him, have the opportunity to be a very, very productive player for us.
I know this sounds like an injury question, but it's more broad than that. Are there expectations to see Austin Holt early in the season?
No, not at this point. So we, obviously he's not on the depth chart. We're eager to get him back, but it's a process that obviously we got to take the right measures to make sure it's right when he gets back in there.
I kind of implied asking about him earlier, but specifically Max. This kid was in Germany a few months ago, and now he's on your depth chart going up to play the 10th ranked team in the country. How does he put himself in that position?
Yeah, that's college football right there. That's what, the ability to get guys on campus. He's been here, again, we talk about 8 months. When you enroll early and you come into college football early, it's so that you can prepare and get yourself ready to contribute. And Max, we're talking about more than just getting used to college football. We're talking about being in a different country, a little bit of a language barrier at times and things like that. But his work ethic and who he is as a person is awesome. Max is the type of guy that will put a smile on your face every single day when you see him. His enthusiasm, his want to, as a young player, to do right by his teammates, to know what his responsibilities are. I'm a guy that works tremendously hard day in and day out, so we're excited to see how Max continues to grow in his career here at Boise State.
How do you bridge the language barrier at times, I guess?
In our defensive front, we got some guys that come from places outside of the United States, so we've kind of become accustomed to making sure that we're checking ourselves so that guys understand what certain words mean. And sometimes you got to hit pause and explain the English language and what a word means, or find a different word that they may understand. But that's the fun in it, is to be able to have a collective group of guys who, that's okay, because they care so much. It matters to them that you get to pause and work through some of those things at times.
I got a chance to talk with Lee Marks this morning, and obviously he's somebody who you played with and coached with. He's kind of got a challenge ahead of him because they lost their starting running back. What do you expect from that running back room when you play them on Saturday?
Yeah, they got a transfer, and you already spoke about the transfer that they've got in there. And it's a program that has built depth, in all positions. So, it's unfortunate for the situation with the running back that they lost, being that it's the beginning of the year. but I'm sure that they have guys that are very well capable, and guys that we've seen on film that can help pick up the load.
Anything else? Great. Thank you so much.
Thank